What if I told you there's kids as young as 14 sliding through the streets of Chicago right now trying to catch their next victim? And those same kids are getting millions of streams on their music and signing life-changing deals with major record labels. Well, that's the Chicago drill scene in 2026, and there's one story in particular that shows just how far things have gone. You probably already know that King Von became the most popping rapper in Chicago and the gangster rap world at large with his masterful storytelling songs all about the lifestyle he lived, allegedly killing a total of 7 people in the Chicago gang wars. Then, a few years ago, the rapper and alleged serial killer with 11 bodies, Bloodhound Lil Jeff, created a new blueprint for young rappers coming out of Chicago to follow, something I would call Drill 2.0, where killing people on Monday and rapping about it on Tuesday is the absolute norm, and having at least 3 bodies seems to be the minimum requirement in order to even be taken seriously in this world.
If I get mad enough, the will start happening. Y'all know this by now. I went black for like a week, and poof. Gotta go after that one.
Unfortunately for Lil Jeff, he would never get to truly enjoy his moment in the spotlight as his rapidly rising career came to a sudden end when he was shot and killed in summer 2024. From Jeff's ashes, a new Bloodhound member would rise, a teenager over half a decade younger than Jeff who seemed to follow every step of his playbook exactly, and also trying to outdo his OG by being even more violent, more treacherous, and more ruthless in his pursuit of a name in the streets. Well, not just the streets, but more importantly, on social media. I'm of course talking about the Bloodhound rapper who many fans call the literal second incarnation of Lil Jeff, Bloodhound Lil Speedy, who despite his disturbingly young age has already created a name for himself in the streets of Chicago and more recently in the rap game by claiming to have multiple bodies or hats under his belt, with numerous claims on record in his songs boasting about having committed 2 or 3 murders, and even more broad claims of living a life where violence and chaos seem to follow him at every step.
Them shorties look up to y'all. Fully chopped, Q50 with Lil 50. Quan, get him gone, you know?
Lil Speedy. Don't forget about Shorty. Oh, yeah.
Lil Speedy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Bloodhound, though. Bloodhound, Dread City. Same like the Maryland. I'm up 3, I need some more. I play ball and come cold.
And Speedy, keep trolling, it's gonna be 30K on his head, and I bet you we be dead by tonight. Keep trolling, his be dead.
Even like my mama can vouch right now, Blue. I go to the shower with my gun in my hand.
Where does Backdoor Slime reputation be coming from? Why they be calling you King Backdoor, King Slime?
Snake just my favorite. Like I always tell like that's my favorite animal type.
But can this kind of madness truly last and turn into a genuine rap career? Or is Lil Speedy already living on borrowed time, destined to end up just like his role model Jeff or his partners in crime, either dead or in jail before even reaching adulthood? Because as we'll uncover in this video, behind the music, the viral moments and the rumors, there's a chain of murders and a betrayal that some believe might have actually sealed Speedy's fate before the spotlight even found him.
Truck, who you calling? If you get bit by a dog, who you calling? Only one law firm I trust, and it's Morgan & Morgan. Remember the name when you're falling. If you get hit by a truck, who you calling? If you get bit by a dog, who you calling? Only one law firm I trust, and it's Morgan & Morgan. Remember the name when you're falling. Got hurt on the job, and it wasn't your fault. Let Morgan & Morgan fight for results. 35 years running, they got the game in a choke. Hire them to go to battle, cause they're ready for the smoke. Over 30 bill, one for all their clients. America's largest personal injury law firm, they're giants. Over 1,000 lawyers, they can handle these assignments. And they're in all 50 states, ain't no way you ain't gonna find them. And not all law firms are built the same. Pick wrong and you might lose before you even start the game. Morgan & Morgan, don't forget the name. And their fee is absolutely free unless they go and win the case. Don't take a lowball insurance company's offer, cause Morgan & Morgan will go and fight for every dollar. Like this car wreck client from Orlando, Florida, who they helped get more than 20x what was offered up. If you get hit by a truck, who you calling? If you get bit by a dog, who you calling? Only one law firm I trust, and it's Morgan & Morgan. Remember their name when you're falling. If you get hit by a truck, who you calling? If you get bit by a dog, who you calling? Only one law firm I trust, and it's Morgan & Morgan. Remember their name when you're falling. So you can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/traplordross. Link in description, or you can scan the QR code on the screen now using your phone's camera. Thank you, Morgan & Morgan, and let's get back to the video.
Content warning. This video is about a sensitive topic involving loss of life. We've removed any graphic content to comply with YouTube's guidelines. We aim to provide informative, factual journalism on a tragic event in the public interest that does not dismiss its seriousness. All clips are used under the doctrine of fair use for news reporting and analysis. Some points made in this video are opinions and theories. I am not responsible for third-party information. If you want to watch my videos uncut and extended, go to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can get those for just $2. Also, you can now watch my new drops on Spotify, so go search me there. Here's the video. To understand Speedy's story, we first have to introduce not just him, but several other teenagers around him who are notorious in their own right and who would go on to play key roles in Speedy's rise to infamy, including his friend Lil Queso and two friends that they would have a falling out with, the rappers Fully Chop and Q50 with Lil 50, as well as the main rival of this duo that Speedy would later become good friends with, the rapper Lil Nooney. With regards to Lil Speedy, I first became aware of him all the way back in July 2024, shortly after the untimely death of his role model Bloodhound Lil Jeff, as I was researching the Bloodhounds for my videos about him. At the time, I was interested in Speedy as an example of the gang's younger generation, which I figured Speedy to be a part of based on his social media, although he wasn't repping the gang yet officially. Despite his rapid rise in the Chicago rap scene since early 2025, Lil Speedy remains a somewhat mysterious figure with much of his background still unknown, and that includes his real age, which he's done his best to hide.
How old are you? Come on, I can't expose that. I can't expose that. I can't expose that.
But based on my research, it seems that he might have been born as recently as 2011, making him only 15 years old at the time of recording this video, and he would have only been 14 years old when he started making his name in the streets of Chicago and on social media. But what we do know for certain is that he got his nickname from his father, Big Speedy, aka Speedy Hollywood, real name Selton Ellis, who unfortunately lost his life to gun violence in June 2016, leaving Speedy to be raised by his mother. Many of the Bloodhounds' core members are actually related by actual blood, and the same appears to be true for Lil Speedy, who would eventually start repping the Bloodhounds himself, a gang set his older cousins were part of, a connection that he later confirmed in an interview with No Jumper.
But I was mostly around like my big cousins, like you know they from 79 type. That's like that's how the whole came upon type. Okay. I was growing up.
However, Speedy is not originally from the hood of the Bloodhounds, which is around 79th in Maryland, but he's actually from another hood around 56th and Morgan, which is currently repped by a set known as JDG. As Speedy would tell in his No Jumper interview, it was here that he would spend the majority of his childhood.
Tell us a little bit about exactly where you grew up and what it was like and everything.
I grew up on, like, when I was in Iraq, I lived on 56 and Emerald.
It was also likely here that Speedy would meet his friend Lil Queso, who hailed from a hood around 66th and Normal, which is strongly affiliated with Lil Speedy's original hood of 56 and Morgan, these two hoods forming an alliance called From the 6th to the 6th, while some members, including Queso, would also rep a clique known as 18 Kappas.
18 Kappa Lil Nate on my cousin. Y'all know what the f going on, 6 to the 6, man, you know?
Like Speedy, Queso was also an out-of-control teenager going viral on social media for pulling stunts like filming him and his friends doing a reverse police chase where they were actually the ones chasing the police. Unfortunately, as we'll explore later, despite growing up together and becoming close friends, Speedy would allegedly go on to betray Lil Queso in the worst way possible. But to understand that betrayal, we have to introduce a set that both Speedy and Queso were affiliated with, known as PGF, or Psycho Gang Family, named in honor of a fallen member known as Psycho, real name Kejuan Thomas. The set gained infamy in Chicago drill during the early 2020s when one of their members, PGF Nook, begun to put his gang on through music, with his 2021 song What Up going viral, even getting a remix from legendary Chicago rapper Polo G that now has over 100 million views on YouTube. But the sudden fame couldn't keep Nook out of the legal system's crosshairs, and in 2024 his rap career came to a screeching halt when he was arrested and charged for a series of violent carjackings, kidnapping, and possession of a machine gun. However, this vacuum left by Nook was quickly filled by the PGF's younger generation of rappers who at the time were close friends with Lil Speedy and Lil Queso, including Fully Chop and Q50 with Lil 50, as well as a third rapper known as Quan Get 'Em Gone, who was actually the one to introduce Speedy to PGF as the two went to the same school.
I went to school with the Quan Get 'Em Gone shorty.
Yeah.
I went to school with him. And then mutual friends we met, the Fully Chop shorty and the 50 shorty.
Fully Chop and Q50 with Lil 50 burst onto the Chicago drill scene in July 2024 with the music video for their track Bounce Out, where Lil Queso can be seen making a cameo while hanging out in PGF's hood with them. Alongside Quan Get 'Em Gone, the rapper trio kept PGF's buzz growing throughout 2024 with several music videos that now have millions of views. But these youngsters would also become equally known for their wild social media stunts. like filming themselves in the middle of a police chase, or on another occasion, they would even record themselves while trying to rob the car of a DoorDash driver, but the attempt would fall flat after Fully Chopped failed to actually take the car out of neutral.
Wait, so they ain't get it?
No, gang, he got neutral, gang. He for the call 12.
Who had that neutral?
Who? And I'm saving this live, gang.
Good, why the
y'all
let that man get
got caught. First he got caught pissing. His don't know how to put the car in
that bitch you just in neutral, bro. Hey, yo.
Clips have also been posted on social media showing Lil Speedy and Lil Queso sliding in traffic with Fully Chopped and Q50, everyone dressed in all black while wearing ski masks and gloves. The influence of the older Bloodhounds was clear in the music as well as in their social media antics. And then of course there was the actual names, like the fact Q50 with Lil 50 was actually named after the older Bloodhound rapper Bloodhound Q50, who was actually Lil Jeff's best friend and would even acknowledge this influence on the younger generation in his interview with DJU.
Q50 on his name, you know.
Yeah, I ain't really like, how can I explain it?
They look up to y'all.
Yeah, I ain't really had no issue with that type, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see, I ain't never really disrespect them or, you know what I'm saying, like.
Nah, cause he wasn't like doing it
Yeah, no,
he
exactly.
doing it in honor of, like, them shorties look up to y'all. Fully Chopped, Q50 with Lil 50, Quan, get him gone, you know?
Lil Speedy, don't forget about Shorty. Yeah.
Lil Speedy.
Yeah.
One final teenage rap sensation we need to introduce, who would later play a role in the chaos surrounding Speedy, is the rapper Lil Nooney, who reps a set considered one of PGF's main rivals, known as Sharknem or 147. The beef between these two sets goes back years, with their new generation rappers Fully Chop and Lil Nooney having some deeply personal reasons to hate each other. For example, in February 2022, Sharknem would allegedly kill a young PGF member and Fully Chop's cousin called Sosa, real name Jamarian Wales.
So you say you start, hanging out around age 12. Who was it, that kind of introduced you to the street life? Who were you hanging around?
Big cousins, my big cousin Sosa that died.
While in September 2024, PGF would allegedly kill a member of Sharknem called Baby Doc, real name Davion Norrells, who was Nooney's big brother. Nooney's rap career was actually jump-started by the young rappers from PGF who would keep dissing Nooney and mentioning him by name in their songs, particularly with a catchphrase that appeared to reference a real incident where PGF had shot at members of Sharknem, but Nooney had somehow avoided getting hit. In January of 2025, while Nooney was locked up in juvie, his friends would release his response to all the dissing, a song and music video that he and another Sharknem rapper had recorded before his incarceration, titled Shark Business, which would also end up going viral, now having over 6 million views on YouTube. But just like all the other youths I've introduced, Nooney has also made a name for himself with his social media shenanigans, perhaps the most famous example being him and his friends filming themselves beating and robbing another young rapper named 4 Block Lil Mari, who they used to be friends with before betraying him on camera. Now that we know the main characters of the story, let's take a closer look at how Speedy made his name in the streets as one of the most dangerous youngsters coming out of Chicago before he ever even started rapping. Around 2024, Speedy became increasingly involved with his big cousins from the Bloodhounds, which meant that despite his young age, he also inherited all the same ops as the older Bloodhound rappers like Lil Jeff and Bloodhound Q50. One of these being the Trap City set from 67th and Rhodes, the very gang who allegedly killed Lil Jeff in self-defense when he had tried to slide on them. And just like the other Bloodhounds, Speedy has often dissed their dead members on social media, one of these being a 19-year-old called Leal, real name Jaleel Goins, who was allegedly killed by Lil Jeff in June 2023. But Lil Speedy hadn't just been participating in dissing the dead, he had also allegedly taken part in the violence. In September of 2024, when a shooting would take place in the Bloodhounds hood, where one of their ops would lose their lives while trying to slide on them, Speedy would allegedly be at the heart of the action. The op who would end up dead during this incident went by CEO Hawkham, real name Sharif Muhammad, from a set known as Risky Road, who were allegedly responsible for killing the Bloodhound affiliate and popular rapper Lil Scoom just a few months earlier in July 2024. According to Speedy himself, he had apparently been at least present when the shooting happened, as he would then hop on social media soon after to tell how they had been walking peacefully through their hood when the ops had come through. However, some Chiracologists actually claim that Speedy himself was in fact the shooter who took CEO Hawkham's life, this becoming the first of several killings that was connected to him. Less than a month later, yet another murder connected to the Bloodhounds would take place, which many would later view as retaliation for Lil Jeff's death, as Trap City member Vel, also known as VI, real name Chevelle Carter, was shot and killed on Chicago's south side. After the murder, Lil Speedy would again join the Bloodhounds in dissing Vel heavily on social media, while Trap City member Tiro would respond respond by claiming that the Bloodhounds weren't the only ones who pulled the trigger, and strongly insinuating that they had another set carry out the hit on their behalf, with online rumors pointing the finger towards the Bloodhounds' closest ally, a set known as Shorty Mob, the younger generation of the infamous No Limit, or NLMB, who are most known for their legendary Chicago drill rappers like G Herbo and Lil Bibby, and their most ruthless hitman Mad Max. Whereas their younger generation Shorty Mob themselves have in recent years become known as some of the most violent youngsters coming out of the entire city, and as we'll discuss later, they would eventually end up having a major falling out with Speedy, leading to even more chaos around him. But only a few weeks after Vel's death, another brutal killing would take place, one that many would soon link to the Bloodhounds, and even to Lil Speedy too. On Saturday, November the 2nd, 2024, a funeral procession for Vel was held in the South Chicago suburb of Dixmoor, setting the stage for yet another violent incident. After leaving the church, Vel's sister, 34-year-old Romisha Turner, was suddenly gunned down as she was pulling away in her car, suggesting that someone had been lying in wait outside the service, ready to strike as soon as she emerged.
Damage on this property is what's left behind after police say Romisha Turner lost control of her vehicle when someone shot her. Around noon, Dixmoor police say they got a call for shots fired at 147th and Sealy. When they arrived, they found Turner inside of a white Jaguar. She had been shot several times. She was taken to Ingalls Memorial Hospital in Harvey, where she died.
Neither Vel or his sister's murders have been solved, but in the sister's case, some have pointed fingers towards the Shorty Mob, while others have placed the blame on none other than Lil Speedy himself, who has indeed sometimes referred in his later songs to shooting a female, although there's no definitive proof that he's talking about Vel's sister in particular. But while all these murders were taking place around the Bloodhounds, Speedy would also have some more personal drama developing, as his former friends from the PGF set would suddenly have a falling out with him and his friend Lil Queso. The sudden fallout wouldn't just end a friendship, it would set off a chain of events that spiraled into one tragedy after another, and exposing one of the most dangerous trends in the modern day streets, the practice known as backdooring. In October 2024, one of the teens from the friend group of Lil Speedy, Lil Queso, Fully Chop, and Q50 with Lil 50 would meet a tragic end, being gunned down in an alley at just 15 years old. But to understand how something like this can happen in Chicago, we have to first look at one of the darkest trends in the streets today, the practice known as backdooring, which refers to setting up and betraying someone who's supposed to be close to you, a friend, a relative, or even a partner, often by setting them up to be robbed or killed in order to gain something in return, whether that's money, status, or even just clout. This is by no means a new thing in the Chicago underworld, but Bloodhound Lil Jeff would make it a key part of his public persona, arguably boosting the trend's popularity to new heights by taking watches and chains from pretty much anyone who came into his orbit. Lil Speedy would allegedly end up taking this trend to an even darker level, eventually receiving the nicknames King Backdoor or King Snake.
Where does Backdoor Slime reputation be coming from? Why they be calling you King Backdoor, King Slime, and all that type of shit?
I genuinely don't know where that King Backdoor came from.
But before Speedy would receive this reputation, it was Speedy himself, together with his friend Queso, who would first become the victims of backdooring. How this all ended up going down is a little unclear, but in September of 2024, Fully Chop from PGF, who was supposed to be a friend of Speedy and Queso, would suddenly begin posting on social media how he had taken someone's gun, while adding that he wasn't a snake, but he had done it because the other person had tried backdooring him. That person would allegedly turn out to be Lil Queso, who would make several posts about how he had been betrayed by Fully Chop and the other PGF members. Fully Chop and Q50 might have been referring to was an alleged incident where people from Lil Queso and Lil Speedy's original hood, the so-called 6th to the 6th Alliance, may have first taken a gun from Q50 and Fully Chop, as the members from this hood would later allude to.
And we definitely seen like somebody over here like clowning like, yeah, we took his Ruger or something like that. Like, it was a lot of trolling comments getting through out there, man. It was...
Look, on some real we don't even do we don't even hold on. We don't even do like that next buzz like when young thing chasing it, now we gotta let it be known what's going on, like what's really going on.
That just shows that he a goofy guy. Hey, throw that out the window. Come on, bro, we ain't even use that. Hey, look.
Right, that's they be chasing. I be like, man, y'all some blood.
But whoever had started this feud, now that the beef was on, there was no going back, as Queso would respond to Fully Chop and Q50 by posting a picture of himself together with Lil Speedy in traffic, armed with several guns. The post came together with a song from the Bloodhound rappers JB Bin Laden and Lil Jeff called Run But Can't Hide, implying that they were out hunting and looking for a get back. Both sides would keep their followers updated in real time about the beef playing out in the streets, a back and forth that allegedly led to several real-life shootouts. But fortunately, none of these incidents appear to result in any fatalities, though at one point, Fully Chop would even imply that they had shot shot up Speedy's family's house, while also posting a video where he was allegedly having a shootout with someone, together with a caption saying that Speedy's gun had jammed on him. The stolen gun saga would soon make it to a larger platform when the popular Chicago vlogger On a Couch TV would make a vlog with the young PGF members later that same month, where they would hint towards having taken Lil Queso's gun because he had tried to play the middle, perhaps referring to the fact that people from Queso's hood had allegedly stolen a gun from them first, but Queso had still tried to be friends with both sides.
It seemed like in Chicago this happened a lot with y'all homie Queso or something where y'all took his pipe.
No, that's Lil Cuz.
That's been Cuz. But he was playing he was in the middle, folks.
That's my Lil Cuz.
If you ain't with us, you against us. It ain't no middle on all my dead people's fault.
But then the PGF members would also have a lot to say about Lil Speedy, like claiming that he wasn't a real shooter, but just someone that sat on the fence whenever it was time to slide.
Speedy again.
Yeah, because there's so many.
Yeah, that's our favorite op. That's our favorite op.
Speedy is nobody.
Speedy is nobody.
Yes,
He used to sit in the back seat.
Oh my God, he used to sit in the middle of the seat and get his gun took every time. Never blew when they got in the shootout.
My dear brother, he was in the middle every time we hop in traffic. He in the middle.
They also alleged that he wasn't a real bloodhound, likely because he had spent his early childhood in another hood before Fully Chop would seemingly pull out the alleged stolen gun, saying that this was the real reason that their ops were mad.
He claiming the hood he not from.
It's outside.
Daddy claiming the hood he not from.
Let us confirm. He's not from Bloodhound.
Cho goofy didn't even have his pipe.
It's outside.
They really mad about this. Look. They really mad about this.
Oh my God.
Only about a week later, it was Speedy's time to make an appearance on a Couch TV, as he would do a vlog with the younger generations of the Bloodhounds. In the vlog, Speedy acknowledged that Q50 with Lil 50 had once been a good friend of his, even calling Q50 his cousin, something that he would later deny, while describing the entire situation as a breakdown of trust, with both sides believing the other was about to backdoor them first. On Monday, October the 21st, 2024, the young PGF rappers Fully Chop, Q50 with Lil 50, and Quan Get 'Em Gone appeared on DJ U's popular YouTube channel, their first official interview as rappers, and a clear sign that their music careers were beginning to go to the next level. But unfortunately for one of them, it would also be their last interview, because the following day, Q50 with Lil 50, real name Anthony Smith, together with his big sister Jada and his big brother Twan, were visiting their father in the Woodlawn neighborhood, this being the hood of the Bloodhounds' main enemy, Trap City, where Q50 with Lil 50 and his siblings had spent their early childhood, something he told DJ U during their interview.
I grew up on like 6-7 avenues.
Okay. Even after becoming affiliated with PGF, Q50 with Lil 50 had remained on good terms with the younger members of Trap City, so for him, this was an area that likely felt like a second home and a place where he believed that he was safe. But unfortunately, that would turn out to be far from the truth. And after the visit, right after the three-sibling trio were about to enter an Uber, Q50 with Lil 50 would allegedly tell his sister Jada that he would be right back before disappearing to a nearby alley. Not long after, several gunshots were heard coming from that alley, and when his father rushed to the scene, he found his son suffering from multiple gunshot wounds, injuries that would ultimately leave Q50 with Lil 50 dead at just 15 years old. Meanwhile, Q50's big sister Jada would go on Instagram Live while still outside the hospital where their brother had just passed away, going on a furious rant. During this, she would scream at the camera how her brother went out shooting before instantly denying that Lil Speedy had anything to do with her brother's death, as rumors about his possible involvement had seemingly begun to spread online already. Jada would get more and more agitated and would soon even announce to her viewers that she was putting $20,000 on the killer's head and $30,000 on Lil Speedy's head if he decided to troll about her brother's death in any way.
You know what you know. How much you want to bag? I give y'all 24 hours, and that's 20K on somebody's head. I give y'all 24 hours. I bet y'all whoever did whatever be killed. I'm done talking now. On my dead cousin, y'all know I'm not no bad.
Speedy would indeed soon address the situation, surprisingly posting on Instagram how he had told Q50 to watch out for certain people without specifying who he was exactly talking about. But he would also do some trolling by posting a picture from the alley where Q50 with Lil 50 had been killed, as well as laughing at his death and asking why the whole city was suddenly so sad about it. He would also seemingly address Jada, saying how he was still in the trenches and clearly not concerned about any death threats. Meanwhile, other PGF members would post tributes to Q50 with Lil 50, implying that a get back was only a matter of time. But after the murder, there was seemingly no clear theory about exactly who had been behind it. Some would keep guessing that the suspect was Lil Speedy, who continued to take shots at Q50 with Lil 50 on social media, even posting an old photo of the two from when they were still friends, paired with a cryptic caption that read, "Only if they knew." While Speedy's friend Lil Queso would also keep escalating the back and forth, telling PGF to stop mentioning his name and dissing Q50 with Lil 50 by calling him the disrespectful nickname Alley Cat due to the location where he'd been killed. Some YouTubers on the other hand would point their fingers towards the PGF's main rivals, Shark Sharknem, aka 147, theorizing that Q50 with Lil 50 might have been killed because he and the other PGF rappers had been dissing Lil Nooney's dead brother Baby Doc in their music video for the track 333, released just 4 days before Q50 with Lil 50's murder. But unfortunately, the truth would allegedly turn out to be even more tragic than that, because according to rumors now, the shooter actually came from Trap City, the neighborhood where Q50 with Lil 50 had actually grown up before linking up with PGF, a place where he should have been safe amongst friends. These rumors began circulating after the alleged killer, 14-year-old Trap City member Lil Tay, who would suspiciously lose his own life roughly a month later in a November 2024 brutal car crash. After Tay's death, Trap City members would make some shocking revelations about him, claiming that despite being only 14 at the time of his death, he had already taken 5 lives. A claim that, true or not, said a lot about the younger generation's obsession with murder and kill counts in the Chicago streets. But following Tay's death, PGF members would begin to imply on social media that he had been behind the murder, until Jada would come out and tell everything, detailing the events that had allegedly led to her brother's death by claiming that Trap City were jealous because Q50 with Lil 50 wasn't repping their hood anymore even though he had grown up there, and seemingly confirming that Lil Tay had actually been the shooter.
On everything I love on my dead cousin, I do not get in my little brother's real beef for stay into it with for real. Like, you don't see me talking to Lil Nooney them, you don't see me dissing Lil Nooney them, you don't see me saying shit to Lil Nooney them, you don't see me saying shit to they other ops either at all, because they real ops, I don't say shit to them at all. So I'm tired of hearing that, oh, Jada, man, your business. When it comes to Trap City, I'm not mad at my business about shit, because you wanna know why? That was not his ops at all. On no day, that was not his ops at all. The day my little brother died, G, it's like the whole day was fucking weird and odd, but we not thinking none of it, G. Like, on my life, we grew up with Lil Mike and Lil Tay them, G. Who finna think they finna do something? Like, come on now, that one our man, like, we finna think they finna do something, but they let they dumb crippled ass cousin sent them off. That's what it was. They like psych goofy sent them off. G, when I found out my little brother was shot, the first motherfuckers I thought of was them. Why the first motherfuckers I thought of was them? Because how the happened? I just seen these goofy little boys run off, clocking guns back in. I just seen they run off. 50 not thinking of he trying to be on the car with they. Like they really did some. They really thought they did some cold shit. That's what they thought they did, some cold shit. And then they would just text me, blow my phone up. Oh, Jada, we wasn't gonna shoot him, but 50 ran up on, and 50 pushed Lil Tay, 50 did this, 50 did that. On my soul, I don't get no f***, y'all should've known. Once I found out my little brother was dead, G, I was gonna beat on y'all ass, G. I was gonna beat on y'all ass. It was f*** Trap City, it was f*** all y'all peoples, it was f*** all that, and I don't get no f***. And if any feel some type of way about me saying f*** Trap City, NA people on my dead cousin, y'all to get in the field, I don't get no f***. Didn't do shit wrong. That little boy thought y'all was his homie because he grew up around y'all. We grew up around y'all. They got mad because 50 didn't want to be from Trap City, G. They mad because 50 didn't want to be from Trap City. They so dirty, G. They want a Nike tag. They got the Nike in the front, and then they got the Nike big ass sign in the front. They so dirty. They never had no money. They don't do shit. I swear to God, they broke. I swear to God. So they got mad because 50 didn't want to be from no Trap City. G. Why the f y'all thought he was finna be Trap City? What the f y'all do for my little brother? What money y'all put in his pocket, G? Y'all broke his heel. Y'all didn't do for him, G.
Q50 with Lil 50's death showed just how senseless the streets have become in this era of backdooring, because while Q50 had actual beef with guys like Lil Speedy and Lil Queso, as well as with other sets like the Sharknem, it seems that the person who eventually took his life turned out to be someone who was supposed to have been his friend. But while Speedy and Queso seemingly weren't behind this murder, it would still end up intensifying their beef with PGF, as both would keep dissing Q50 with Lil 50 at every opportunity. But the jokes wouldn't last long, as just weeks later, a similar situation would unfold again when another teen would lose his life, and this time under even more suspicious circumstances that strongly suggested that he'd also been backdoored by someone he considered a friend. Only this time, the person who would end up dead was Lil Queso, and according to online rumors, the person behind his death was none other than his supposed friend, Lil Speedy. Towards the end of 2024, the beef between PGF and the duo of Lil Speedy and Lil Queso kept escalating, as both sides would go back and forth dissing each other, with Speedy and Queso continuing to diss Q50 with Lil 50, while Fully Chop and the rest of PGF would continue to remind them about the stolen gun, with Fully Chop even posting a video of the alleged aftermath following the incident showing Queso upset, while an older man would seemingly berate him for what had just happened. Q50 with Lil 50's sister Jada would even call Queso from 50's old phone while on live, spooking him out before telling him he would soon be joining 50 in the afterlife.
Just fried my friend. I'm like, how is he alive?
It's fine. He gonna come get your ass. You gonna be with him soon.
You just fried my friend. He gonna be with you. Y'all gonna be with each other soon. And you know he gonna beat your you know he gonna you up, Queso.
And unfortunately, Jada's words would prove chillingly accurate, because only a few days later, on the 3rd of December 2024, Lil Queso, real name Kenwan Van Pelt, was at his family home located on the 6700 block of South Parnell Avenue, only a block away from 66th and Normal that his set claimed. What exactly happened next is still a mystery, but just after 11:30 AM, his mother would find Queso inside their home with 2 gunshot wounds to the head, and the emergency services would soon pronounce him dead on the scene.
Heartbreaking discovery no parent ever wants to find. We noticed nearly a dozen shell casings scattered in the parking lot of this apartment building in Inglewood. Police say around 11:30 this morning near 67th and Parnell, a 15-year-old boy was found unresponsive inside a building with a gunshot wound to the head. The victim was pronounced dead on scene. Police say this is a homicide investigation.
And it wouldn't take long for the news to reach Reddit, where theories about the killer and a possible motive would start immediately, with some users quickly posting screenshots of Instagram posts by PGF affiliates, including Fully Chop's brother Twan, who was seemingly claiming that they had taken a gun from Queso again, which the users would see as a possible motive for the murder, while Fully Chop himself would also be quick to confirm Queso's passing, as the dissing from PGF's side became relentless. Fully Chop would even appear to imply that they were behind the murder, saying how somebody had mentioned Q50 with Lil 50's name and now they were dead, before adding that PGF were King Slime for real. However, suspicions would soon also shift in an unexpected direction, as Queso's supposed friend Lil Speedy begun making some highly questionable posts on social media, like calling himself the King Snake while telling his followers that he had no friends and that they should just watch him work, a common reference to doing drills. Speedy would also take a page straight out of Lil Jeff's book, who had made an infamous Instagram post with 10 hat emojis, the theory being that each emoji actually stood for one of his victims, with Speedy now posting 3 emojis of his own, a top hat, a graduation cap, and a woman's hat, with online detectives on platforms like Reddit immediately starting up theories that Lil Speedy had ended up backdooring Queso, who was now one of those 3 emojis. After Queso's cousin would see the post, he would respond to Speedy directly, saying that if the hat emojis had anything to do with Queso's death, he didn't need to put money on Speedy's head like Jada had done, because he would be killing Speedy personally. Meanwhile, people on Reddit would keep commenting on the case developing in front of their very eyes, flabbergasted about the amount of backdooring going on in Chicago and the possibility that Speedy might have actually killed his own friend after they had both just been taunting their ops together. Perhaps even Speedy would begin to think that his social media antics were getting out of hand, because he would also backtrack and make another post that seemed to be a tribute to Queso, saying how Queso's death had messed his head up and how people were going to say what they want, seemingly referring to the rumors of him being behind the murder, which arguably he himself had started. But this post would come across as insincere or even sarcastic, and it would do very little to dispel the rumors started by other, much more self-incriminating posts. And eventually, a theory would form online about what had happened based on the tidbits of information that people would gather from news reports and social media posts, with online sleuths even posting detailed timelines of the alleged events, claiming that PGF members had somehow obtained Queso's location, possibly because his phone was still sharing it with Fully Chop from when they had been friends. The morning of his death, Queso and some others, including Lil Speedy, had allegedly been sliding around Chicago in a car, with Queso going live on Instagram during that ride, as covered by the YouTuber NC.
This morning, he went live for the last time close to 7 a.m. He was driving around and they thought they found somebody, but they continued on before the live ended.
Nah, I was in my feelings because he couldn't add me. Like, add me, rap, add me, I can't. Don't f***ing mean you can't. Then I had a fit. He's so lucky. Who's dude?
When Queso and Lil Speedy returned to Queso's house, PGF were allegedly waiting there, leading to a confrontation and a shootout between the two sides, as local news would later report that the police had found numerous shell casings on the ground in front of Queso's building. Speedy and Queso would flee inside Queso's home, but later on, Speedy would allegedly get suspicious about how PGF had gotten their location, and he would begin to suspect Queso of trying to backdoor him. However, other theories suggest that Speedy's possible motive ran deeper, as Queso had allegedly been friends with Lil Tay from Trap City, the alleged killer of Q50 with Lil 50, with one commenter arguing that Tay had actually killed Q50 with Lil 50 as a favor to Queso in retaliation for the gun that 50 and Fully Chop was said to have taken from him. But while Speedy had been on Queso's side in their beef with 50 and the rest of PGF, Trap City was still the #1 enemies of his set, the Bloodhounds, and the fact that Queso might have been messing with them was something that simply couldn't go unpunished. But whatever the true motive may have been, Speedy would then allegedly call a friend from Shorty Mob called Fat Drench, who arrived with a car to help him get out the situation that was about to unfold. This was supported by the fact that Fat Drench would later post on social media media taking shots at Queso's clique, the 18 Kappas, while seemingly asking who wanted to be the next to die. But then tragically and suspiciously, Fat Drench would also lose his life just days after Lil Queso, gunned down under circumstances many have described as suspect and potentially indicative of yet another backdoor setup as well, although there's currently no concrete evidence linking the two killings. After Speedy had called Fat Drench to come and pick him up, they would meet outside before Speedy would allegedly return to Queso's home with the excuse that he had forgotten one of his phones, and while exiting the apartment, he would literally leave the door open. Betting on PGF likely still wanting both him and Queso dead, Speedy would then allegedly call the PGF members in order to backdoor Queso in return, telling them that the coast was clear, with the PGF crew then sneaking into Queso's home through the open door and shooting him in the head while he was sitting in his room playing a video game, before running out of the building and fleeing the scene. This theory was based particularly on a report that claimed police were looking for a group of kids who had allegedly been in the apartment with Queso before running out of the building shortly after his murder. So to be clear, this is just a theory, but it seems like one person would take at least parts of it very seriously, and that would be Lil Queso's mother, who had seemingly confirmed that Speedy had been in the house with Queso around the time of the murder and had therefore very much likely backdoored him. Whether any of this was true or not, Queso's murder and the online theories about Speedy's involvement would ultimately encourage Speedy to launch his own rap career in early 2025, with him capitalizing on the rumors and using his music to hint at being involved in the hit to generate buzz on social media. Stepping into the rap game was a risky new chapter in Speedy's life, and he was beginning to enjoy the spotlight and money that came with being a rapping killer. But unfortunately, it seems that Speedy still hasn't been able to leave the streets alone, and things would soon end up getting even more complicated as tensions would flare up between him and the Bloodhound's closest ally, Shorty Mob, which led to a serious falling out. While Speedy's biggest rival, Fully Chop, would end up becoming very close to the main Bloodhound member, Q50, that's the bigger Q50, causing some major internal friction within the gang. In the middle of all this street drama, Queso's mother would remain determined to hold Speedy accountable for her son's murder, relentlessly pushing for justice. With enemies multiplying and pressure mounting from all sides, it began to look like the chances of Speedy staying both alive and free have become increasingly slim. For the Bloodhound Gang, the year 2025 begun in the worst way, as one of Lil Jeff's closest friends, T Slick, real name Tommy Coleman, was arrested in connection with the January 2024 double murder of two high school students, known as Lil Rob, aka Robert Boston, and Monty, aka Montiero Williams. These two are often regarded as the most widely confirmed victims attributed to Lil Jeff, as only weeks after this double homicide, Jeff would release what would become his most infamous song, Ah, which many fans believe to be basically Lil Jeff's confession to these murders, with lyrics where he appeared to describe the screams that the victims made after the hit as captured by a witness on a viral video. But unfortunately for the Bloodhounds, the police weren't done, because only a few days after T Slick's arrest, they would also arrest another Bloodhound member called J-Mo, real name James Allison, for the same murders, showing that if Lil Jeff had still been alive, there's a very good chance that he would have been getting arrested for this too. And even beyond the grave, his antics were unfortunately dragging down his alleged friends and accomplices. It was only weeks after this that Lil Speedy decided that now was the perfect time to get the world's attention on him, as he would start his own rap career in March of 2025, dropping his first song and music video titled How I Get, which now sits at almost 1 million views. The very first lines of the chorus would make it clear what Speedy was all about, as he opened up by saying how people already knew how he moved, implying that his reputation spoke for itself, before adding that if you saw him out, he'd likely be masked up and holding a Draco like the Reaper, a nod to Lil Jeff's nickname and the image he had built as a feared killer. With the tone set, the only thing left was to diss his ops, and for Speedy, the target was obvious, Fully Chop, with Speedy making it clear that he was a fake gangster who, unlike him, hasn't done anything in the streets. Throughout his verse, Speedy would keep circling back to those same themes, opening his verse once again comparing himself to Lil Jeff, rapping how he was just as slimy and treacherous as his role model, before boasting about his alleged body count at this point being 3 souls, something that Lil Jeff would do numerous times in his songs too. And this strategy would work like a charm, with the comments filling with comparisons calling Speedy the new Lil Jeff, but later on, Speedy would actually address these comparisons in his No Jumper interview, saying that they were funny at first, but at a certain point they started to get annoying, and he wanted to be recognized as his own artist.
How you feeling when you be seeing like they be saying that you Jeff reincarnated and shit?
That shit was funny, like when I was first in there, what the they funny, but like now that shit irritating, for I'm me, I'm myself. I don't like, I wonder, like I be thinking like what the be making them say that though. I feel like they just be saying that because of the friend group we hang around. I'm light skinned with dreads, so
will vert and
yeah,
like that.
That's what, yeah, the friend group type, and because of the way I look, I feel like that's why they be saying that though.
Yet looking back at this first song, it's hard to ignore just how deliberately he was trying to be like Lil Jeff, and it actually worked, making him go super viral. And that virality would be continued by Speedy dropping new songs and music videos, including 9 Block Finest, a track dedicated to the Bloodhound's hood at 79th and Maryland, the track Reaper on My Back, another song referencing Speedy as Lil Jeff's reincarnation, and he would again be doubling down on the familiar themes, like boasting about his alleged body count despite his young age, and even hinting that he might have played a role in Lil Queso's Queso's murder. In the next song, Speedy would get the official Bloodhound stamp, as he would get Lil Jeff's good friend and the Bloodhound member with the longest rap career, Rel Vert, to feature on his song Not On Nothing, where Speedy would continue the same themes like dissing his ops Fully Chop and the PGF crew for allegedly not doing anything to avenge Q50 with Lil 50's death, before once again comparing himself to Lil Jeff, and of course reminding his growing fan base that his body count was 3. In July 2025, only a few months after starting his rap career, it was already time for Speedy to drop his first full-length project, the 6-song tape, Voice of the YNs. But right as the tape was about to drop, Speedy would suddenly be arrested in his hometown on unknown charges. And he wasn't the only one, because only a few days before that, Fully Chop 2 had been caught by the police. These back-to-back arrests immediately started rumors that they had both been charged in connection with Lil Queso's murder, which would begin to seem even more credible as hip-hop bloggers would go on to post how Queso's mother had reportedly confirmed this, as she would make a lengthy post on social media where she seemed to detail the events leading to her son's death. However, for those who had been following the case as it unfolded on social media and forums like Reddit, it was clear that this wasn't official information provided by the police, and this was also acknowledged by Queso's mother herself, who would clarify in the comments that the theory came off Reddit and that in reality, Speedy had been arrested on gun charges, something Speedy himself would later confirm in his No Jumper interview. He would explain that he had actually been arrested several times in 2025, with the July arrest apparently occurring as he and other Bloodhound artists were on their way to a show outside Chicago.
I caught another case after that. I had got pulled over on the way to a show.
But while that arrest didn't seem to be directly tied to Lil Queso's murder, Speedy did mention something very unsettling, perhaps without even fully realizing it, because according to him, one of the officers would let them know that they had been watching and following them.
And they was on some bullshit. They said some weird like, yeah, we been following y'all, we been watching y'all. Oh, what the I'm on the way to a show. I guess they searched the car, they found a scrap. They found the gun now.
Do you believe it that they were actually like following you guys, or do you think it was just a random?
Nah, they probably was though, cause like where we was at, I believe it, cause like we fought.
Yeah,
we was on our way to Joliet like an hour and a half away from Chicago.
Mind you, this arrest took place about 6 months after 2 of the Bloodhound members had been arrested for one of the most shocking broad day double murders the city has seen in recent years. And for many professional criminals, this would have likely been a clear sign that it was time to pack your bags and take off to Mexico before you get hit with a RICO. But in the life of a young Chicago drill rapper with a possible lucrative music career on the horizon, this was just another regular Tuesday. And after getting out of jail and being put on an ankle monitor, Speedy would keep dropping music like nothing had happened, releasing his song and music video titled King Snake in October 2025. Meanwhile, interesting things had been happening on the PGF side of the beef, as Q50 with Lil 50's big sister Jada had now gotten so popular on social media that she too decided to start her own rap career, releasing her first song and music video titled Silly in May 2025, which now sits at over 1 million views. And from here, Jada would keep dropping songs, where she would often shout out her brother's old friends from PGF, like Fully Chop and Quan Get 'Em Gone, while seemingly also actively participating in their beefs. Jada would also keep stoking the flames on social media, where she would often beef with people, including Speedy, even making some truly inflammatory accusations, like claiming that Speedy had shot up her house twice, even while her daughter was inside.
And Speedy don't do shit, literally, but shoot at crib with kids in it. Let's talk about it. On 50. That's why him and Queso got So what is you even talking about? Speedy goofy. Stop believing everything you see on the internet. He's a goofy. He should shoot at cribs and miss. How the f shoot at a crib and still don't hit nobody? And then, not that, you shoot 2 times, not once. What the f is you aim?
However, once again, something that unfolded behind the scenes that would completely flip the situation on its head would be when towards the end of 2025, fans began to notice that Jada was no longer spending time with her brother's old friends from PGF, and instead, she was suddenly being seen around none other than the rapper Lil Nooney from the Sharknem, aka 147, the very set known as PGF's main rivals, who had been dissing her late brother only months earlier. Jada would eventually confirm the relationship on social media, with Nooney even making a cameo in Jada's music video where she was now dissing PGF. But what makes this new plot twist particularly interesting is the fact that Jada's new boyfriend Nooney has seemingly been friends with Speedy for a while now, and more recently, the two might have even been doing music together, as Speedy would allude to in his recent live stream with a rapper and streamer Paidway T.O.
Pull up to the studio tonight, if y'all want to. It's gonna be me, Snort, and probably Lil Nooney. You know Lil Nooney is? Yeah, he'd probably be in that too.
However, it seems that recently, the older Bloodhounds, particularly Bloodhound Q50, have been getting close with Nooney's main ops PGF, with PGF member Vic posting himself on a FaceTime call with Q50 while seemingly implying that the Bloodhounds and PGF were locked in together. This would understandably seem to anger Lil Speedy, who would appear to post some subliminal disses towards Q50 on social media. The connection between Q50 and PGF likely came through Bloodhound's main ally, Shorty Mob, who have seemingly been affiliated with PGF for some time now. And while Speedy used to be friends with certain members of Shorty Mob like Fat Drench, who allegedly helped him to get Lil Queso killed killed, recently, Speedy and Shorty Mob have begun dissing each other openly on social media, likely due to Speedy's hate for Fully Chop and PGF, with Shorty Mob even seemingly claiming that they almost caught Speedy in real life. All of this friction seemingly building up around the Bloodhounds has caused many fans to think that something tragic is bound to happen soon, and with Speedy seemingly continuing to post subliminal threats on social media, that moment may arrive sooner rather than later, and that's a real shame, because despite living a wilder childhood than most people's lives will ever be, Speedy currently has a genuine shot at turning his music into a way out of these deadly streets he was born into, or does he? Because when Lil Jeff was killed, many were likely thinking that if he hadn't thrown his life away that day by going after his ops, he too might have had a real shot at making it big. As we now know, had he not died that day, there's a pretty good chance that he would currently be fighting a double murder charge, just like his friends he left behind. So unfortunately for Lil Speedy too, it might already be too late to change course, because if he really did the murders that he claims that he did, his fate too is probably already sealed, and most likely, he won't be the only one, because scrutiny from law enforcement around the other young members of the Bloodhounds and their affiliates is likely reaching a tipping point as high-profile cases continue to be linked to their circle. Just some weeks ago, on February the 4th, 2026, Chicago was shocked by yet another particularly brutal broad daylight shooting that was caught on camera, showing at least 3 masked-up shooters firing into a white sedan that had crashed into a van before getting back into their vehicle and fleeing the scene. The shooting would leave 26-year-old woman Gabriel Ayres dead and a 27-year-old man injured, while a 1-year-old girl who was also in the car was miraculously left unharmed despite the dozens of shots let off by the shooters.
From all indications, there were multiple shooters who fired dozens of shots, perhaps more than 50. Remarkably, all of those bullets missed a baby who was sitting in the car that was targeted.
Afterwards, the car used by the shooters, a red Alfa Romeo, was found by police almost completely burned. While in online spaces like Reddit, theories about the shooting began circulating almost immediately, with amateur sleuths soon identifying the dead victim as the sister of the rapper Risky Bands, a member of the Risky Road set, who were allegedly responsible for killing the Bloodhound and Shorty Mob affiliated rapper Lil Scoom, with Risky Bands being one of the members who appeared to personally claim the murder. And since the murder of Lil Scoom and the following homicide of the Risky Road rapper CEO Hawcom, which was in some rumors connected to Lil Speedy directly, there have also been several other shootings and murders that have been connected to the war between Shorty Mob and Risky Road, including the July 2025 mass shooting at the NLMB affiliated rapper Mellow Bucks' album release party that killed 4 people. And following the murder of Risky Bands' sister, members of Shorty Mob would immediately begin hinting at their involvement, while PGF members like Fully Chop would seem to celebrate with them, and Risky Bands would respond by seemingly threatening violent revenge. Now, the wheels of justice may turn slowly, and in Chicago, where an alarming number of shootings remain unsolved, it can sometimes feel like they don't turn at all. But when you're involved in circles where these kind of high-profile murders keep happening, as we've come to see in recent years, the consequences do eventually catch up, even if it takes a long time. So while the opportunity for Lil Speedy and the other youngsters mentioned in this video to turn music into a real way out the streets is still there, so too is the very real risk that the same cycle of violence that helped build their names could just as quickly bring everything crashing down. Regardless, I hope they're all able to keep leaning into the positive path that they've begun to build with music, and if they can help it, stay as far away as possible from the streets of Chicago.